Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Haley, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega. This portion of the show is supported by NACD with Make Voting a Tradition in Minneapolis.
Hey, weekly we have a update from the great state of Wisconsin and the governor of Wisconsin, and we are really blessed to have Governor Tony Evers on right now, giving it his update live, and we really, really appreciate all you do for Indian country and especially for the great state of Wisconsin. Welcome to Native Roots Radio.
Yeah, thanks so much, Robert and Haley. And it's an honor to be here today. Actually, my work with the Native tribal nations in Wisconsin is one of the most impactful to me personally of anything I do. It's just an extraordinary group of people, and sovereignty is a thing, and I try every time we connect to make sure people understand that. The message for today obviously is around the national election and Wisconsin election also. But my main issue is obviously I'm supportive of Kamala and Tim, but the bottom line for me as governor is make sure people vote. Simple as that. And it's really quite extraordinary to have this type of election at this point in our state, in our nation's history. And so I'm encouraging people to vote early. There's all sorts of opportunities in Wisconsin to vote early. And the reason I do that, it's not that I don't, I personally, I will vote on the 5th. It's my birthday too. But the most important thing for me is that people vote. And I know a lot of people in this state and frankly in the U.S. that they're busy. They're busy people, whether it's busy with their kids, busy with their jobs, or whatever. And it is so important to vote that we're encouraging people to vote early. And the polls are open now. It's easy for people to make that happen, and making a plan to do that. But I think voting early is critical, and you can see the numbers that already are, but have voted early. It's an extraordinary number, and I think it is because people are so busy. If you have a bunch of kids and somebody gets sick, and you got to stay home and make sure that child is taken care of on Tuesday, and suddenly it's like, oh my God, I missed it. So. Yeah. If people can get out early, that is critically important. And so it's a basic message. I know people are busy. They have now, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to vote. And of course, they can on Tuesday. But there's days where you might have time to do it. So do it.
Absolutely. And I don't know, Governor Evers, if you remember, because here in Minnesota, we always talk about this. In 1991 on Halloween, we had 31 inches of snow, and that kind of thing happens. And especially in Wisconsin, where in each district, 3 votes could make a difference in the whole thing.
Yeah, it's always close. It's always close in Wisconsin. We're a purple state. And the race for president obviously is very, very close, but there's all sorts of down ballots that are important in the state of Wisconsin. People running for office, a lot of people running for the first time. So there are all sorts of races that people need to vote. And because we are a purple state, it's a little different than Minnesota. I'm encouraging people to take every opportunity they can and get out to vote, because every vote does count. And I encourage people that are encouraging others to get out and vote, to talk about how important it is, because like you said, any couple of votes in every part of the state of Wisconsin can make a difference.
Absolutely. Come up with a plan. And I know Wendy and I have, my wife and I have, Haley have, we had Gwen Walls on too earlier, and we witnessed her and her son early voting, and how important it is. We used to really, really like voting on the day like you're gonna, but we don't know, like you said, we don't know whether, and it's so close and so important. I just really appreciate that message.
Yeah.
What else is going on in Wisconsin? I mean, I go to Black River Falls once or twice a week from the Twin Cities, and I see a lot of signs that I didn't 4 years ago or 8 years ago that really look like Wisconsin's turning blue. It's really heartening to see this.
Yeah, well, things are going well, but we have new legislative maps here in Wisconsin, and
Yes.
this is for the first time. So this is going to make a huge difference. Obviously, right now our legislature is such that it's heavily Republican, and we have fair maps now, and so in Wisconsin, the purple nature of our state really is going to be played out not only at the national stage, but also at the local and state stage. So it's just important for people to vote. That is the bottom line. Yes, so I go around the state a lot and talk to a lot of people as governor, but then I spend a lot of time also at this time to get Democrats fired up about this election. And I've never seen this type of really excitement and dedication to getting out to vote and getting Democrats across the finish line. But that said, I know Wisconsin well, and the Republicans are working hard also. So we need to get people to vote. And also, frankly, it'd be great if people reach out to their friends and neighbors and tell them about why you're voting the way you're voting, and encouraging them to vote too. This is hand-to-hand combat, I would suggest.
Absolutely. And one of the things, you being a former educator as myself, when you are a young voter, you become a voter the rest of your life. So encourage families, our Native families, to go together and vote and make it a family thing.
Yeah, absolutely. They can have a party after they get home, but go there together and vote together. I think that's a great idea. A lot of people don't, because of their families get kind of spread around, but there are places all across the state where people are still, they live within, a couple blocks of each other, and going to vote together is probably the most important thing they do this year.
Absolutely. Well, we got less than a minute left, and I just want to say from Native Roots Radio, I know we play your updates weekly, and we have political guests on afterwards, and we are just so grateful and thankful, Governor Evers, that you are the governor of Wisconsin and be able to be the stopgap, but also the redistricting has been something that we are just so happy for Wisconsin, and you leading the way in that.
Yeah, it took a lot of effort by a lot of people. I was really pleased. Politically, we were able to solve this, and we'll get a good turnout this time. And the next time around, in 2 years, we'll be able to do a lot more in the Senate side, because on our state senators are only half of them are up for election this time. So it's a good time for Wisconsin. We're going to be purple, but it is going to be great. It's going to be a great day on November 5th.
A big Pinagigi. Thank you so much, Governor. Got 30 seconds. Any last hellos to anybody?
Well, I have to tell you that I'd love to have a shout out to the Native leaders in the state of Wisconsin. They're just an extraordinary group of people that make my job a happy one.
Thank you so much, Governor Evers. Governor Evers, Tony Evers from the great state of Wisconsin. Peeny Giggy, thank you for being on, and vote and vote, vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
This November, we have a clear choice for who's truly fighting for our Indigenous communities in Minnesota. Democrats created the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's Task Force, made college tuition free for Native scholars, and legally affirmed our Native sovereignty. By signing co-stewardship agreements to manage federal lands, we return the lands of the Upper Sioux State Park to the Upper Sioux Tribe and over 11,000 acres back to the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwa. This November, vote for the party that stands with our community. Vote Democrat.
Paid for by the Democratic Farmer Labor Party.
For everything you need to know about voting in Minnesota, visit the Secretary of State's website at mnvotes.org. Find out where to vote, check registration status, and view sample ballots. Again, for all your voting information, go to mnvotes.org.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
It's 1-844-762-8483 or chat online at strongheartshelpline.org.
Hey, really excited. We have our friend Arvina Martin, Merge, Wisconsin Executive Director, and really excited to have you on, Arvina. I am getting excited here. I am really getting excited here.
Unmute.
I can't hear you, Arvina.
I always do that. I forget to unmute. This is an exciting time. And I heard somebody online refer to the feeling that they're feeling, particularly in Wisconsin right now, as nauseous optimism. Which I thought was a great phrase, and definitely accurately reflects how I'm feeling right now.
Oh, I really believe, like the governor said just before you came on, Tony Evers of Wisconsin, he has never seen this excitement in Wisconsin voting in his career. So I've been looking at all these statistics here in the last 24 hours, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, actually, we got some information from the Marquette Law Poll, and it is discussing, or they found kind of what we've been finding anecdotally, in that voter enthusiasm, particularly for the top of the ticket and for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, the enthusiasm is through the roof, and you can definitely feel that. People like seeing each other on the streets wearing Kamala gear and being like, yeah, there's this commiseration that is happening with people, and I think that it makes me happy that in a world where Trump is trying to campaign in the most divisive way that he seems to be able to. Seeing that the response is one of inclusion, and one of the joy that we've been seeing throughout this campaign. It's just such a difference, and it's really refreshing. First of all, to have some hope. You have this gnawing feeling in your stomach, being like, "What is this I feel?" Oh, that's hope. We still have that.
That's awesome. It wasn't that spaghetti dinner I had the night before. It
No,
was hope.
not mom spaghetti.
No, Eminem might say that. Did you see Eminem endorsed Kamala?
I saw that, and then I saw President Obama doing a few bars from Lose Yourself. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And I mean, in the wake of this terrible joke that was told at the Trump campaign rally, just the number of endorsements that have come out from the Puerto Rican community has been incredible. Even drawing a response from the Archbishop of San Juan. Wow. And that wasn't really an endorsement or anything, but more just a castigation of the way that their campaign talks about people.
Arvina, I found out something that I did not know, but there's 500,000 people that live in Pennsylvania that they dissed, and that's got to be some good information too. There was another thing too that I was reading, was that we really are comparing Biden's votes with Harris's votes, and comparing that, she's way ahead of him, and he won the election. The women vote is so underrepresented in these polls. I believe it's going to be a blue tsunami.
Yeah, we are seeing, especially with the reproductive rights issues that are on, at stake during this election. Women are getting so much more engaged and coming back to participate in politics because they have skin in the game. And another interesting point is a lot of the men that are defending their mothers, their sisters, their wives, their daughters, their grandchildren, and supporting them that way as well. Which makes the Trump campaign strategy of reaching out to just the manosphere to the exclusion of women voters, particularly, those Haley voters that he should be, you would think one would try to be wooing. He certainly is not doing that. He's buckling down and really trying to die on this hill that the manosphere and Joe Rogan will save him.
Well, what's interesting is I really believe that he is setting it up for hanky-panky after the election, and that's all he cares about. And he's disenfranchised voters, his own voters, for the last 6 months. This is just nothing new, and I think it's a big setup to really everyone be careful and vote early is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see this has been part of their campaign plan for a long time. I think you all remember when Trump said to one of his assembled crowds, don't worry about election day. We've got all the votes we need. We don't need any more. I mean, who says that? You should be on your, like, if you're on your way running errands or something on election day, trying to get those last few voters into, you're trying to get everybody, out to the polls who haven't been there yet, and getting voters. I mean, that's the whole point of this. So to have him say that weeks or maybe even months ago, really shows that they're leaning hard into this, claiming shenanigans when they, if they don't win. And so that winning has never been the ultimate goal. Winning, they haven't put all their efforts there. Instead, they're backing up for a potential loss and then going from there and hoping that legal shenanigans can get them out of it and deliver them an election.
Arvina, I know we talk a lot of national stuff. Let's get down a little bit. What do you know what's happening in Wisconsin? Because again, the ticket floats down. If you got a lot of people voting blue for a president, a lot of times it goes down to all the other races. What's going on in Wisconsin? Are we still really a dark purple?
I think we are still pretty purple. But I know that you guys had mentioned in the last segment while talking with Governor Evers about the new maps. And those are going to be, those are also, helping turn out voters because this is the first time in over a decade that these lines will be drawn in such a way that a vote is actually voting for a candidate to choose your elected official, as opposed to the elected official choosing their district and therefore their constituents. So we're seeing a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of races that are going to be close. And as you were saying, the entire ballot affects each other. So the top of the ticket is obviously going to drive a lot of people, but there are a lot of people that care deeply about their more local, their state representatives. And we are electing all members of our state assembly, as well as 16 members of our state senate. That's about half. So our state legislature has the potential to look vastly different. We are going to see far fewer of these very, very far right MAGA types getting elected because their districts are more moderate. And so we've got actual contested races. And, we have out of 99 assembly races, there are Democrats in 98 of them. And that's a great show of how people are thinking about these new lines and thinking about them being winnable, as opposed to preordained just based on the demographics of the district.
Yeah, that is all I can think of. And we just had her on recently talking about the powwow in, I believe, La Crosse. Was Tricia Zunker should have won that seat twice. But it was so gerrymandered bad, and I'd somebody like her come back up and run a fair race.
That would be really exciting. We will see what happens with our Dem candidates and across these congressional races as well. It's going to be really exciting. I'm wish I could wake up on Wednesday morning and kind of skip this whole time, but we've got lots of work to do.
Speaking of which, hey, we're here with Arvina Martin, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin, and we're having our weekly discussion, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Hi, this is Governor Walz. Thank you for listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by J.S. Bean Factory off Randolph Avenue in St. Paul. Only the good stuff keeps us awake.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. And we're here with Arvina Martin, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin. And we're just having our normal little chit-chat here. What did you call it now? It's nervous optimism?
Nauseous optimism instead of cautious optimism.
I wish I had a T-shirt place here. I'd have whipped a few of those together. Well, Haley, you put something interesting up in the chat. That's some more information, and it really it really resonates too now when he made that switch.
Oh, right. Yeah. So this was like one of the only musicians that Trump could get to come to his rallies because no musician wanted him using their music. But Nicky Jam actually showed up to one of Trump's rallies, I don't know, recently and endorsed President Trump. And I guess today he or I guess took back his support for Trump after the joke about Puerto Rico, because I guess Nicky Jam is from Puerto Rico or has some Puerto Rican descent. But yeah, I also just want to mention too, when Trump did welcome Nicky Jam to the stage, that Trump welcomed him as a female, and he was something like, "Oh, Nicky Jam is so beautiful," and then Nicky came up to the stage and was like, "Actually, I'm a he." I don't remember if you guys remember. Do you remember that? I thought it was really funny when it
That
happened.
is funny. I just I gotta remember. Did I ever like Kid Rock? I thought I did like 30 years ago, and now him and a couple other people I just can't handle anymore.
Mm,
Have I grown out of Kid Rock, Arvina?
I hope so.
seriously.
My
I hope
goodness.
so.
Well,
Gee.
what's crazy too is that like no one, well, it's not crazy that no one wants to endorse Donald Trump, but I know like Kamala was doing Beyonce music at a lot of her tours, and when she was touring across the country, and Tim Walz was using a lot of Bruce Springsteen music, and both Beyonce and Bruce Springsteen did like benefit concerts in support for the Harris Walz ticket,
Yeah.
which
And
says a
then
lot.
and then there was a lot of
Mhm.
cease and desist when it came to what Trump's musicians were saying when he was playing music without. So yeah, it's just when is this nightmare? I feel like this nightmare is almost over. We're gonna have some ramifications, I'm sure, after the fact. But I don't plan on doing any traveling or any of that. I'm staying put, and uh, I don't know. I'm really, really excited. I've just been reading the polls and deciphering things my own way, and listening to people that aren't counting on, like, our mass media. It counts, corporate media counts on this being close, so they're relevant, Arvina.
Right.
And I think that's a big thing. They don't talk about the 3 to 6% they automatically give Trump because they were so way off, the pollsters were in 2016. So there's all these weird things going on that really point in a landslide victory, and we as ho chunks will get that flat cedar out and say and smudge ourselves off as much as possible.
There's going to be a lot of smudging on Tuesday and maybe on Wednesday too. I like 2020. I honestly don't know what to expect of like when we will find out vote totals, because they're in Wisconsin you can't start counting the votes until the polls are closed. So we've got this glut of absentee votes that are sitting waiting, that aren't for the media, like that when they're trying to call a race, they might not have the same information. It makes it more difficult because these people are not being exit polled, because they voted sometimes in weeks earlier. We might not know for a couple of days, which is terrifying because I know we all get hyped up and want that day to be like the final day. We've suffered through all the attack ads and the million texts begging us for money, and we just want it to be done, and hopefully it will be. But I am really not sure what to expect in a post-pandemic world, in a world where this race is somehow in a statistical tie, just no matter how you cut it, when it should be, we'd like to think that it's super obvious, but apparently it isn't to a lot of people.
Well, one of my favorite baseball caps that came out, and it was red in the 2016 president, was "Let's make racists afraid again." and put them back in their hole. There's always been this deep-seated racism that's coming out and that Trump's brought out, and only half the country vote, and if half of them or 40% of them are voting for Trump, it's a third of our country's deep down bone racist and afraid of the future, and don't feel like they're being listened to. And I think that was one of the things that a lot of Bernie voters went to Trump that first time because he was running on that, and but they all know better, and I still
We
think it's
hope.
going to be a
We
landslide.
hope they all know better.
You know? Well, I think they know better. What else is going on, Arvina? I know that was really good to hear about what's happening in Wisconsin politically.
Yeah, well, in terms of Emerge, I want to shout out my candidates. We have 12 women running for office who are Emerge Wisconsin alums. So I'm keeping track of all of their races, and we are hoping for 100%. Our organization, for if you are a first-time listener or have not heard me yet, Emerge Wisconsin is an organization that recruits and trains Democratic women on running for office. And we have, like I said, we have 12 candidates that are up for election, and we're feeling pretty strong about their chances.
That's exciting. That's really, really exciting. And yeah, do you have any names, or do you want to just not go there right
Oh
now?
my gosh, I would have to say all of them, and
Yeah.
I don't want to play favorites. Mama loves all of her babies.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Well, I just want to back up to I know you heard a little bit of the governor, and I really liked what Governor Evers said about how he really likes how the native governments are run, and he really it really ignites him, and the leadership that the native communities in Wisconsin are, and I can see that. And personally, I really like our president of Ho Chunk Nation, and he's dynamic and well spoken and very smart person, and it's great that he's leading our nation. And I know the other 10 tribes too in Wisconsin have great leaders too.
Yeah, and I think it shows something great about Governor Evers, that he sees and acknowledges tribal leaders as peers, and not as some special interest group or anything, but somebody that partners in taking care of constituents, because there's overlap in who is represented by both, and we're really working together to provide the best options and the best services that they can for their shared constituents. And you guys have the same kind of tribal consultation plans and agreements that Governor Walz put in place, and I really think that kind of experience, working with tribal nations and working with tribal nations again as peer governments rather than as special interest groups, really bodes well for a potential Harris-Walz administration.
Mhm.
And I think that is terribly important, as opposed to the other guy who just is probably best known for derisively calling Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas, using her name as a slur, but also famously saying, well, they don't look like Indians
Yeah.
to me, like
Yeah, about the
has
casinos
it.
and yeah. Well,
Yeah.
really good point. And one other point too that I think you were alluding to is that Governor Evers did talk about, like you said, how important sovereignty is for Native Americans, and that is the government that you speak of.
Absolutely. And you know, he walks the walk too, and having a very robust tribal consultation policy, that all of the state like administrative or departments are required to hold every year official consultations with tribes, as well as having tribal liaisons to work between those two governments. And yeah, it's legit, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's authentic, you know, and a sign of respect, and that's the kind of leadership that we need at all levels of government, local, state, federal, because you know, I firmly believe that tribes working with other units of government is really the best way to get services and provide better circumstances for tribal members who are often pushed into the margins. And having this kind of double coverage really just improves outcomes in every field, whether it's life expectancy or health or economic status. You know, these things just help, you know, lift all boats.
Hey, can you hold on for one more segment?
Sure can.
I want to talk about the possibilities of having a Native American woman as governor here in Minnesota and how excited I am about that. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin, and Haley Cherry. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
This November, we have a clear choice for who's truly fighting for our Indigenous communities in Minnesota. Democrats created the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's Task Force, made college tuition free for Native scholars, and legally affirmed our Native sovereignty. By signing co-stewardship agreements to manage federal lands, we return the lands of the Upper Sioux State Park to the Upper Sioux Tribe, and over 11,000 acres back to the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwa. This November, vote for the party that stands with our community. Vote Democrat.
Paid for by the Democratic Farmer Labor Party.
For everything you need to know about voting in Minnesota, visit the Secretary of State's website at mnvotes.org. Find out where to vote, check registration status, and view sample ballots. Again, for all your voting information, go to mnvotes.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Minneapolis Institute of Art is featuring the art and legacy of Jody Falwell, a groundbreaking potter from Cabo Owinga, New Mexico. Over the past 50 years, Falwell has revolutionized Pueblo pottery and native art by weaving in personal, political, and social stories into her pieces. Her exhibition titled Opawa Omung shows the incredible range of her work and the impact she's had on both native and contemporary American art. You can check it out at MIA through January. For more info, visit artsmia.org.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Hey, this is the last part of the Native Roots Radio here, and we're with Arvina Martin, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin, and Haley Cherry, the big producer here on the big show here. I always wanted to say that. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the possibilities, and this gets me excited too, as being a Native American, of our next governor here in Minnesota.
How exciting. I know I've spoken of it in the past, but when I first heard Governor Walz's name be floated as a potential VP pick, my first thought was immediately, oh my God, if it's him and they win, that means Peggy is governor. That was literally my first thought. And it's more exciting than words for me. I am truly thrilled about this prospect, and should everything go the way that we are hoping it to go, I will be planning on coming up for the swearing in ceremony, because I have to. That's history. And I think that Lieutenant Governor Flanagan is incredible, and she's sharp, and she has empathy, and has all of this, knowledge and all of these skills that are exactly what we want in our leaders, and making decisions for the greater good of all of us. She's really top notch, and I can't gush any harder.
Well, her story is interesting. So she started out as a school board and worked her way up. And one of the things when they both ran for governor and lieutenant governor, I don't know if I've brought this up before with you, Arvina, but they did it at the Indian Center. And they talked about the history between them. She was working kind of like Emerge Wisconsin. It was the Wellstone project where
Yeah.
they'd bring new candidates in. And he was, Governor Walz was one of her students. So their history goes way back. And they've always said it was going to be a partnership when it came to the governor and lieutenant governor. And I can tell you, Arvina, I like politics, but I couldn't tell you who the last three lieutenant governors were, but in Minnesota, because
Yeah.
really they didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that their relationship is one built on a base of mutual respect. And I think that I think it's really apparent. And I think that provides a lot of trust amongst your constituency. Knowing that they might not agree all the time, but they're going to have a good, thoughtful discussion about it, and be able to talk to each other in a way that's productive and doesn't turn into these stalemates. And that's how you get things done, is when you are able to have respect for each other, and work on compromising. That's how we make progress. And I see their partnership as one that is just ripe for progress.
Absolutely. And then Governor Walz, which I didn't know and I thought I knew everything, worked in a tribal school when he first became a teacher. I know a lot of my peers as teachers have done that and worked in reservations and as starting out in teaching. That's amazing. And it's also going to be translated in to maybe doing more things in the Harris Walz administration that Joe Biden did just a few days ago about apologizing about boarding schools.
Absolutely. And we're going to get closer to, and hopefully achieve all of these or have all of these longstanding conversations that need to be had for like a historical reckoning of what happened until now. And understanding that is how you start to understand where we are today. It's just absolutely crucial to understand that history, and then be able to address root cause issues for problems, and come up with short-term, medium-term, and long-term solutions for these larger issues that when you come down to it, a lot of the issues stem from things like racism or sexism, and being able to understand that and acknowledge that really opens doors in terms of being able to handle a contemporary problem.
Yeah, and history, if you don't know your history, you tend to repeat it. And we really have to speak our truth. And I know we have, and things, I guess I'm 63, and I never would have thought any of this would be happening in my lifetime, including Obama. I really felt like the country was a certain way, but it's been in flux and changing over the years, and changing in a good way, where we're going to have more voice and more people that have different ways of being, and become one melting pot, the way I guess the founders of this country hoped it would be, and then also working with our own sovereign nations too.
Absolutely. And you know, it's I I like what you said about, having people from different perspectives and from different ways of viewing the world. I know that I had watched a speech of Peggy Flanagan's during the George Floyd um, co- uh, uh, riots, or demonstrations, rather, not riots, demonstrations. And she came at that conversation as a way to heal, and the things that she said were very much things that would be said by a strong Native woman, and taking from her experience and her worldview as a Native woman, and really, I think, came to a very difficult conversation, and came in and was able to bring the temperature down a bit, but in a respectful way, in a way that honors the pain of the people who are protesting, who are feeling all of this, and understand, and I just thought it was so masterfully done. And we need to have people with diverse experiences, diverse worldviews, looking at all of these problems. I always say that a legislative body, is going to have blind spots. And if you all have the same experiences, you all have the same blind spots, those are just there. And nobody knows anything and knows how to fix them, or even knows that the problems are there. But when you have these different experiences, that collective blind spot gets smaller and smaller, and people are closer to the edges. And so they can better see collectively a potential blind spot being approached than if
Wow.
it was everybody, in their very same similar experiences. And that's how you come up with forward thinking policy that is going to help the most people, that can be helped.
Wow, Arvina, wow, you hit a home run there. I agree, and that's amazing. I just got to say one quick thing. We only have a minute left here, and is I'm always amazed when we'd see Governor Walz speak, or Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, that they do it from the top of their head, and they blow me away that they're such great speakers.
Yeah, and I think that just goes to show like how much they do really care about the people and for the people that they're serving. And yeah, I think this is the way it should be.
Yes, Arvina, I want to say a big peeny gigi. It's always a great show when you're on, and we always, Haley and I are always excited when you are able to be with us. And I know the people that listen to us in Wisconsin love you too.
Oh, yay. I'm always happy to join you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Right on. That's Arvina Martin, Merge Wisconsin CEO. Hey, if you're listening to us, you're part of the resistance. We're still here. We are the seventh generation.
And free Leonard Peltier now.